Good morning and welcome to our Sunday worship service here at First Parish in Framingham. I am the Reverend Aaron Stockwell, the Senior Minister at First Parish. Now, this is my first time leading worship here as your minister rather than as your ministerial candidate. So if I get the order wrong or something doesn't quite work out, feel free to reach out to me. In these physically distanced times, it is so important that we find ways to both embrace innovation, but also embrace tradition. First Parish in Framingham is a welcoming congregation, so wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. And I am so glad that you are joining us for our first YouTube service. Now, this week might be a little bit shorter than most services. I'm experimenting with a lot of different new things during worship. And I've learned to try just one or two new things at a time. Immediately following the service, there will be a Zoom coffee hour. The sign-in information will be shown on the final screen. And also, now is a great time to find a chalice or a candle. During these times of our physical distancing, it is so important that we have rituals that bind us together. Our opening words are from the Reverend Dr. Kristen Harper, who serves our congregation in Barnstable, Massachusetts. Dr. Harper writes these words: "Each day provides us with an opportunity to love again, to hurt again, to embrace joy, to discover the tragic. And this day is no different, this hour no more unique than the last, except maybe today, maybe now among friends and fellow journeyers, maybe for the first time, maybe silently, we can share ourselves."
Please join us in our words of affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church.
The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve all life with compassion, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. This is our great covenant, one with another and with our God.
The Flaming Chalice is the symbol of our faith tradition. It represents a flame of hope and of wisdom. As the children of our congregation light the chalice, let us also kindle our own separate flames. Now is the time in our service that we set aside for sharing the things which weigh deepest on our hearts, because we know that a sorrow shared can be a burden lifted, and a joy shared can be joy expanded. There will be prompts on the screen which will help give some order to our sharing. Please, as they come up, type those in the chat box. Also, do remember that in this online space, privacy cannot be guaranteed. So if you have something more tender to share, feel free to send me an email.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort Sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Speak with me, speak with me, speak with me, oh my soul. Speak with me, speak with me, speak with me, oh my soul. Stay with me, stay with me, stay with me, oh my soul.
Now let's take a moment to center ourselves in the ways that we know best, to pay attention to the breath in and the breath out, as we set aside all of the to-do lists and the shopping lists that we have in our minds. And let us pray as we each do in our own ways. O Spirit of life and love, named and unnamed, but who calls us each by our true first name, which is beloved, we give thanks for this community that has gathered since 1701 and is now gathering in new ways online. I give thanks for the staff and the leaders of this congregation who make it what it is. And I give thanks for you who are journeying with us today. I also give thanks for all of the joys that have been shared. We know that in our community there are those who are suffering, who are living with illness. May we find ways to reach out to them and remind them that they have inherent worth and dignity. We also be and join with those who mourn so many losses. Be with those first responders and essential workers as well. We know too that in our world there is oppression, there is violence, there is so much hatred and war and violence. May we find ways to bring peace to all of the war-torn parts of our world and to work to bend the arc of the universe towards justice, reminding everyone that they are loved, reminding too that Black lives matter. And of course, sometimes our humanity shows just a little bit too much. We fumble with our words, we fail in sometimes epic ways, we send that email just a little too quickly. May we be reminded that we are loved and lovable, not in spite of these imperfections, but because of them. And may we remind ourselves too that because we are breathing, there's always an opportunity to work to restore right relationship to our world and to our relationships. I say these words and do all things for love's sake. Let us now sit in the quiet of our own homes so that we might rest, pray the prayers of our own hearts, or simply listen to the silence. The ongoing work of our congregation in these walls and beyond them depends on your generosity. The details into the various ways to support our congregation can be found on the next slide. When I was polling the members of the worship and arts team to see what had usually been done on Labor Day, there was a little silence, and then the response, well, we are usually away. That's the last weekend before we start services up in the fall. You'll probably have low attendance anyways. I understand. Indeed, last year was the first year in my memory that I had preached on Labor Day. And it would be so tempting to just let this day slide by, one final weekend before the congregational year begins. But I wonder, why do we not talk about work and church? Do we shy away from considering connections to labor movements? Is it that talking about work is too close to talking about money, often a subject taboo in our congregations? So maybe we talk about vocation then, but is vocation a weird or too spooky a word that we don't consider it? Is the concept of the Protestant work ethic still too Christian for us? Has automation and outsourcing caused us to not even think about those who labor on our behalf? Has a disposable culture made us forget that everything we consume, own, was once touched by human hands? And of course, with the economy the way that it is, with so many people out of work due to coronavirus shutdowns, I feel that sometimes, we have to spend at least a little time thinking about work and our religion. This pandemic time has laid bare the inequities in our society, but has also highlighted the importance of workers. While the hero status of nurses and doctors and other medical professionals was fairly well cemented in my mind, I've been reminded of the true hero status as well of grocery store shelf stockers and cashiers, truckers and janitors, other workers in our supply chain, other workers too that are at risk for catching the coronavirus. This time of shelter at place and work from home has also highlighted the deep inequities in the workforce. If you are working, I am sure that each one of us can think of the myriad ways our jobs have changed. And of course, if you have kiddos or children or kids at home who are now doing virtual schooling, you have a whole bunch of other tasks to do in addition to what you're doing for work. The world of work has changed in profound ways. This month in our services, I am considering in various ways this theme of vocation. What are we called to do? And what is our congregation called to be in the city of Framingham? Now, I love to talk about vocation. I spent all of the time that I was in seminary and also a year after working in the admissions office at Andover Newton, finishing as an admissions counselor. After minister, it was probably the coolest job that I had. It did feel like a ministry. I always said that I served as an admissions counselor, never just I was an admissions counselor. It was service to something greater than myself and a paycheck. I loved that job for a number of reasons. I loved it because I got to be with people during transitional moments. It is a deep privilege and a deep responsibility that I accepted, to be with people during trying times in their lives, during those liminal moments, those transitional times, those rites of passage. When we think of rites of passage, we think of the big ones: birth, marriage, death. When we probe a little bit deeper, different ones come up. Bat or bar mitzvahs, first communion, confirmation, coming of age, graduation. Those are the ones that still have Hallmark cards for. But then there are other ones like coming out or transitioning or divorce. We don't have cards for those, at least maybe not by Hallmark. But that admissions counselor position was beautiful and ministry because I got to talk with people at a pivotal moment. That first time that they began to answer a call deep inside. That first time that they said yes to a question they'd only been responding no to. That time that they said, yes, I want to explore the ministry. It was a lovely job because I care deeply about this vocation that I am living into. I got to talk to people about ministry all day long. It was glorious. Talking with people about what they might do with that one wild and precious life that they have been given. If I ever needed something else to do, I might be happy as a career counselor or vocational counselor. Vocation isn't a scary word. Here's my own definition of it. Yes, it comes from the Latin root word meaning a call or a summons. For most of the history of the English language, it's been specifically about the religious life, which is all right. In the Roman Catholic sense, it referred to single life, married life, the religious life, or the ordained life. John Calvin also explored using vocation to refer to secular work. Over the years, it's shifted to mean that set of skills that you need for a profession. But the definition that I've liked for a while is one from Frederick Buechner. The place where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet. The Japanese have a different word for what I think we are really talking about here. Ikigai, I believe, is how it's pronounced. The word roughly translates to English meaning the thing that you live for, or the reason for which you wake up in the morning. There's a Venn diagram that circulates every so often on Facebook, with the big circles being the thing which you love, the thing that the world needs, the thing which you can get paid for, and the thing that you are good at. And the circles in that are all labeled with those different things. Then the overlaps are passion, mission, vocation, profession, and right in the middle of those, that overlap is your ikigai, the reason for which you wake up in the morning. What was the moment that you knew what you were going to do with the rest of your life? What was that moment that you knew? Do you remember it? That disorientation moment occurred first. The moment where your internal GPS system said recalculating. Or to quote a favorite movie of mine, The Darjeeling Limited, we just haven't located ourselves yet. And then all of a sudden things became a little bit clearer at least. But you fell into a groove, and that is powerful. Now, there are, of course, other aspects of vocation and our own general societal impressions of busyness, but we have a couple more weeks to explore that and years of sermons after that. Before I wrap up this sermon, I want to imagine something. How might we honor the work that we do? How might we honor the labor that we do? To explore this, I draw on the wisdom of a Unitarian ancestor by the name of Von Ogden Vogt. Von Ogden Vogt was one of the great thinkers of liberal liturgy. In his church, the glorious First Church of Chicago, which he helped build and design, he installed in the sanctuary not just a moon and stars, not just symbols of world religions, but also symbols of various professions. John Hayward, a writer about Von Ogden Vogt, wrote this: above the arches of the nave were placed a number of marble images representing various human trades and professions. Von Ogden Vogt's idea was to use this microcosm, macrocosm stretch to establish a sacred space, which is at once a refuge from the world and also a replica of it. corresponding to the inward and outward facets of religious life and action. In his church on the first Sunday of May for several years, from 1935 to 1942, that church observed Vocation Day, a day where the service and the liturgy would focus on a particular profession, including social workers, bakers, teachers, merchandisers, printers, engineers, railroaders, and lawyers. Invitations to those services would be posted in various places. The service for merchandisers in 1938 was advertised in Sears Roebuck, for instance. They recognized the necessity of those industries in our communities. Maybe there is some way to do something similar. So, my friends gathered watching this service wherever you are, I wonder, how will you celebrate Labor Day? Sure, grill a veggie burger or 2 or 3, but also find ways to thank people who might be seldom thanked. Find ways to remind others that all work has dignity. Find various ways to support workers' rights for labor practices and fair wages. And finally, I invite you to explore the places where your passions meet with the world's deepest needs. May it be so, and amen. Now, our closing song today is a classic song from the labor movement. In our hymnal, it is hymn number 109, As We Go Marching. The poem, the words, are by James Oppenheim, the music by Rowan Renegans, and the music is by Carol Cowett. I asked for Carol's permission to use this version. More details will be written below. But this comes from a documentary that aired on PBS a little while ago that her husband actually helped produce. So more details can be found in the description in this YouTube video below us.
As we come marching, marching, unnumbered women dead, go crying through our singing their ancient call for bread. Small art and love and beauty, the trudging spirits new. Yes, it is bread we fight for, but we fight for roses too. As we go marching, marching, we bring the greater days. The rising of the women means the rising of the race. No more the drudge and idler, tend that toil where one reposes, but a sharing of life's glories, bread and roses, bread and roses. As we come marching, marching, we battle too for men, for they are women's children, and we mother them again. Our days shall not be sweated, from birth until life closes. Hearts starve as well as bodies, give us bread, but give us roses. As we go marching, marching, in the beauty of the day, a million darkened kitchens, 1,000 mill-lofts gray, are touched with all the radiance the sudden sun discloses. For the people hear us singing bread and roses, bread and roses. We go we go marching, marching. As we go marching, marching. As we go marching, marching. As we go marching, 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 marching, marching. We go marching, marching, marching. As we go marching, marching, marching.
Our service is concluding, but you are more than welcome to join us for our virtual coffee hour. You can join us at bit.ly/FPF coffee, and the details will come up after the benediction, so don't worry if you didn't get that written down. Let us take the light of love out into the world and use it to brighten our pathways, and when we need to rest or recharge, be challenged or affirmed, may that light guide us safely back. May we hold the light always, and the light hold us always. Go in peace.